obviously it feels like this game on a Monday/Tuesday night at the end of March as the season's winding down has been overshadowed by this overarching question mark that is the Jayson Tatum injury. And we are going to get into that, obviously, guys. However, the Boston Celtics did, however, need to finish out a game, and they did just that. However, on another note, Jaylen Brown returned from injury tonight. He had a 3-game absence with that bone bruise in his right knee. Again, 1J comes, 1J goes. A little unfortunate circumstances here, guys, tonight. Obviously, despite the win, it feels a little like Celtics fans are holding their breath right now for a real update. We got a couple updates, and we'll keep you guys updated as we go. But again, you know the drill, your overall thoughts, takeaways, reaction from what was otherwise a very impressive win.
Very impressive win from this team going forward with this season. It's just about keeping your players healthy. They did play some regulated minutes, but it really shows that a player can get injured at any time, and especially when you're facing a team like the Sacramento Kings. And we look at these games as almost wash away games during this time of the year, but when you look at the Sacramento Kings, they're in an absolute dogfight in the bottom of the West play-in tournament, and fighting for a position to be able to contend for a playoff spot. So this is a game that meant a lot to a team like Sacramento, and you saw them bringing a lot of intensity, especially during the first quarter. You saw the Celtics kind of dragging their feet through the mud in the first quarter, but then they were able to pick it up. The shots started to fall, and also were able to pick up their efforts on the defensive end. And then we saw the injury to Jayson Tatum, and which is a scary injury to see. It's an active game, and what I was trying to round that off to was I've seen a lot of people saying that it was a dirty play by Sabonis, but I just see that more as a competitive game. It's a competitive game, and it was just tight up defense. Obviously, you got to avoid putting your feet where the player is landing after they shoot, but other than that, I didn't really see any issues with it. But
Can I say something just about that real quick? Just real quick.
Yeah.
I'd love to chime in because I read on Twitter a Greenberg tweet, Barstool Greeny, one of my go-to guys while the games are going on. Love him when he tweets. Something he tweeted that I really liked was, this happened because players have gotten away with this all year with Jayson Tatum and his landing. This has been a problem that's popped up. I think this is the second, third time this year. I remember earlier on in the year, it happened against Milwaukee on the road. This is a call that Jayson Tatum does not get. He does not get these landing zone calls, and it happens so frequently. We know Jayson Tatum in these ankle problems. It has been persistent. Remember 2023 in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7. What happened? Tatum goes up, lands awkwardly on his ankle. This happened because the NBA has not protected Jayson Tatum in these situations. Players know they can get a little bit more aggressive on the closeout when Jayson Tatum is pulling up. Now, does that make it intentional? I agree with you, Franco. No, I don't believe it was intentional by Sabonis. However, right, players have gotten away with this, and they know they can close out a little bit more aggressively on Jayson Tatum. And it happened tonight. Unfortunate events. Tatum falls, sprains his ankle. We're waiting to hear what the update is, but I had to chime in there because I loved what Greeny said in that aspect. Players have gotten away with this all through Tatum's career, and the NBA needs to crack down on it because it's become a real problem for their superstar right now.
And you see so many close calls with it during these regular season games. It will happen like once or twice every other game that you'll see Jayson Tatum have someone within his landing spot. And there's been times that it didn't end up being called, but it would have been noticeable at some points. I'm sure there's going to be adjustments to the rule at some point with the NBA and how the league continues to progress in that standpoint. But now looking at the injury standpoint of that, it's challenging to see what they do. Obviously, you want to see them play conservative, but just being able to close out tonight's game, being able to find that motivation to push forward, expand their lead during that fourth quarter when Tatum was taken out of the game, is what you need to see out of these players, and it shows that they have that motivation to play for Tatum when he was out, and hopefully we hear more good updates, and we'll keep on filling in as time goes forward.
Where do I even start? The main story of this game is obviously Jayson Tatum and Jayson Tatum going down, because when Jayson Tatum went down, it was seriously like, oh my gosh, the president, he's been hit, he's been hit, he's been hit. And you could just feel like the energy coming off the entire city of Boston throughout the nation, where Jayson Tatum, he's going and rolling down on the ground. I'm thinking, oh my God, his
Someone
legs
fell
broken.
to their knees in a Dunkin' parking lot.
I'm thinking his leg's broken. I'm thinking this season, this just ended. This season just ended. And you watch the replay and you're going, oh, well, that's actually a common play. And maybe that's actually a problem, like you guys were talking about, because this actually came up earlier in the season with Jayson Tatum. And you guys make a fair point on really guys getting away with this type of call, and really no call landing under Jayson Tatum. And it's happened quite a few times this season. And Jayson Tatum's actually said something about it at the podium quite a few times this season. And yet it results in Jayson Tatum injuring his ankle 10 games from the NBA playoffs. Only 10 games left on the schedule. And now Jayson Tatum, his status with his ankle is up in the air. It seems like it seemed like he just tweaked it. Like, I don't know how bad the sprain would be,
It
but
doesn't feel too good, but
exactly. It's not
we'll
going to
pull
feel too
off
good
tomorrow
either
morning.
way. And going into the playoffs, that's really not what we want to see. We want to see this team stay healthy. They're on a roll. I mean, right? This game tonight. I mean, look, 113-95. If you want to talk about a flipped script, or really a flipped switch as well, think back to January, specifically the game against the Sacramento Kings early on in January. The final score of that game at the TD Garden was 114-97. The Sacramento Kings won that ball game. Tonight, it was the Boston Celtics winning this ball game 113-95. Literally, the script was flipped. And that's the Celtics. This game really symbolized the Celtics flipping that script for themselves this year and going on the run they're currently on right now. And yet, right in the midst of the game, Jayson Tatum, he unfortunately, the Celtics cannot check the box of health right now, because we just saw we saw Jaylen Brown miss a couple of games with a knee injury. Now he comes back into the lineup. Jayson Tatum out with an ankle injury. We have no idea the severity of it. We're hoping it's not too bad, but yeah, the fact that this is something that actually needs to be discussed within this whole situation. I will say, on your guys' point, just going back to that real quick, the Jayson Tatum ankle injury and guys getting away with putting their feet under Jayson Tatum on reckless closeouts throughout this season. Fans don't really think about this aspect of it, but you have film sessions all the time in the NBA. I mean, really, film sessions are the most important thing. It's not really practice. Teams don't really practice that often. What they will do, though, is watch film literally every day of the season. Guys are watching film. And within all those film sessions, things like that come up when you understand as an assistant coach or even a head coach that, hey, refs aren't really calling this against this certain player. We can get away with this defensively if we just kind of push the envelope there defensively, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be on closeouts like that. It could be something in terms of hand checking, like, oh, okay, well, against this player, they never call hand checks. So, hey, just go up in there and be physical. That could be something that ultimately falls on film as well. And I'm just saying that is something, an aspect of this whole thing with Jayson Tatum that kind of goes under everyone's noses, but it is something true. If refs don't call something a certain way, teams can be more aggressive with it. And that can be closeouts on Jayson Tatum if teams understand that, okay, guys, we see on film, they're landing in his area. It's never called. We can be more aggressive on those closeouts versus you think about a player, really this season, but still quite a while ago now. Think back to 18-19 Harden. James Harden that season, you could not get anywhere near his landing area. I mean, if you got anywhere near him, he was so good at just kind of lunging his feet forward. I mean, and you think of the patented Harden step back, and he just like lunges forward on the step back, like he's somehow falling back but falling forward. That's somebody that at the time you're watching on film going, you can't be that aggressive on your closeout on James Harden because he's going to lunge into you. Well, Jayson Tatum, if they're not calling that against Jayson Tatum, and of course Jayson Tatum is not embellishing it as much as James Harden, then under that scenario, yeah, coaches could tell their players, be more aggressive on these closeouts. And then you see what happens. Jayson Tatum twists his ankle. I mean, this is the classic. It's the Zaza rule. Back 2017 Western Conference Finals,
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard injures his ankle, misses the rest of that series after game one. Zaza Pachulia, reckless closeout. This is where this rule comes from. And it's upheld in some areas, but other areas it's not. And tonight, unfortunately, it just failed. Well, I would say from the standpoint of giving Sabonis a flagrant one, that's great. That should have happened. But in terms of preventing the actual play, that failed tonight. And that was the main story of this ball game, because otherwise the Celtics beat a Kings team that, I'll say this right now, the Sacramento Kings, if you ever want to know how to build an 8 seed or a 9 seed or a play-in team in any conference, I mean, go straight to the Sacramento front office, because they have you guys hooked up. Because what is going on with this Sacramento team? You have Jonas Valanciunas, Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Zach
Sacramento
LaVine,
Bulls.
and then kind of this myriad of young players. I mean, you have Malik Monk there too, but Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray.
Markelle Fultz is back on an NBA court. How about that?
I'm happy to see that. He was a Celtic for a month. He was in terms of graphic edits, he was a Celtic for a month back
We're number 20.
like May, June of 2017. Then we traded back, and then it was like, oh, maybe Jonathan Isaac Tatum. It's like Fox. I don't know.
Josh
went with the right guy,
Jackson was the other
obviously.
name. Yeah.
But that's the main story of tonight. Jayson Tatum gets hurt. Celtics
Right.
blow out the play-in Kings. I mean, all the it seems like the Kings housed all these guys like through the years, where it's like, oh, watch out for that guy, watch out for that guy, and then now all of a sudden they're all on the same team, and it's like, well, the Kings just took everybody's like, oh, he's good enough to get paid, but not good enough to be an integral piece of a championship team. That's what it feels like the Kings have right now, all over their roster. But hey, they used to be Celtic killers at some point in time, but
They were
not right now. Not tonight. Not tonight.
From this game, right? From a standpoint of just this game, outside the Tatum injury, Celtics are clicking right now, man. I mean, they're playing some really good basketball. They really handled business very well tonight. Again, against a team that is fighting and they're playing for something. These games are like Franco mentioned earlier. This is a team, and Seamus alluded to the 7 and 8 seed, because it really is very, very true. It's like you go on to 2K and you make this type of team and you think to yourself, how are we not good? You're just a 7th or 8th seed. They did very, very well tonight. I loved what the bench gave you. Shireman, Cornette, and Pritchard were phenomenal tonight. You need that type of night. I thought Brown looked a little slow, a little step behind, but again, coming back from injury, missed a couple games. That's expected. He only played 25 minutes. They're going to integrate him back. Honestly, Tatum potentially missing some time could be good for Jaylen Brown now to get his footing within running the offense, because of kind of he's been in and out of the lineup for the past couple weeks dealing with that injury. So hopefully Brown can kind of get his season back on track right before the playoff starts. Baylor Shireman, to me, guys, right now is giving me Marcus Smart vibes. He is a dog. And tonight, what he showed us was a defensive impact that I want to get into it a little bit later. But I'm going to start that narrative. The Baylor Shireman might be this team's Marcus Smart in the making, because it's there. A lot of the intangibles are there, and he's got a shot on him. However, again, Jayson Tatum, I do want to give my input on this. Again, I mentioned a little bit about my overall thoughts on the play itself. Seamus, I agree. This is something that NBA teams know. Okay, when Tatum goes up, you can be aggressive, right? Get up on him on that shot. One, he's 6'9", he's a high riser. It's tough to contest his shot, so they know you can get a little bit more aggressive. The NBA in this rule, they need to have a zero tolerance for it. On any, I am for certain players get certain calls, their status kind of gives them it. I understand that, right? There's a level to it. And this play is probably the most dangerous play in basketball. It is the landing down on someone else's foot. We saw it completely derail NBA history in that Western Conference Finals, and the creation really of this rule, like you said, the Zaza rule, with the impacts that this play could have. The NBA needs to crack down on this. I don't care if it's Peyton Pritchard taking the shot, Jayson Tatum taking the shot, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander taking the shot. You have to have a zero tolerance for lazy and bad closeouts. I know it wasn't intentional. However, you've been playing basketball now, Sabonis has, probably for 15 years of your life. You know how to safely contest. And if you can't safely contest, then you weren't in a good defensive position to even be contesting in the first place. And the NBA as a whole needs to have a zero tolerance for this, because it is, again, for a Celtics team and for a player of the caliber of Jayson Tatum, the NBA can't afford to have Jayson Tatum not be in the playoffs, and neither can the Boston Celtics. So it's not good from an NBA standpoint, and it's not good from a Boston Celtics standpoint. So the NBA needs to crack down. We did get an update, however, on this injury via Adam Himmelsbach. I might have butchered that name. I apologize. Himmelsbach. I'm terrible with names. So again, Jayson Tatum was not made for interviews. No media session for him tonight. Now, the one positive, ignore the eating and joking part. It's good to see him in good spirits, obviously. However, the one positive is that both sneakers were on his feet. He was not in a boot out of the locker room, which that is a good sign. Obviously, with these ankle sprains, we've seen it before last year with Kristaps Porzingis. Sometimes they boot him if they get a little nervous about it. So that could be good signs moving forward for the Boston Celtics and Jayson Tatum. Again, we'll keep you updated if we have anything. Mazzulla was interviewed and he was asked about the injury. Mazzulla obviously said Tatum said he was okay, no boot. That's all we have so far. Expect to be updated tomorrow morning. However, with Boston playing another game on Wednesday against Phoenix, I would not expect to see Jayson Tatum made available for that. Also, I will say this in regards to the Jayson Tatum injury, Joe Mazzulla's got to give a little bit more pushback here. I understand Tatum loves playing, and that's a great quality to have. He's somebody that believes and understands the idea of what it is to be a superstar and how players or how young kids come with his shoes that they got for Christmas and their jerseys and, you know, their fans. I understand that. I love that. It's a great quality to have. The greats need to have that. However, you got to have a little bit more pushback, because tonight, hopefully what signs are pointing to is that it's not going to be as severe as it could have been. But this Jayson Tatum is too important to what Boston does to be playing around. And I get it was a freak accident, but if I'm Joe, give a little bit more pushback, please. Like, fight him a little bit more, because I know how much JT likes to play, but I can't, for my mental sake, for the Celtics sake, just for everything. I can't go through that right now. But so that's that. I don't know. I just couldn't. So
what's odd about what you're saying right now is, coming into today, I was actually thinking, you know, second night of a back-to-back. I mean, really. Second night of a back-to-back. I mean, last night we played the Blazers. Jayson Tatum, he was there. I mean, he was there. He played that game, played well last night. And I was thinking, coming into tonight's game, I was going, is he just going to just do it again tonight? Just do it again. Like, I was
over the past 2 nights.
So he played 26 tonight, and I want to say 35 last night.
I mean, even 26 minutes though. I mean, he went out in the middle portion of the third, so he was probably on his way to at least over 30 tonight.
Yeah,
right.
34,
That's what I was thinking. 34, somewhere around there. And Jayson Tatum, it's like, is he just gonna? I was seriously thinking going into today. I was going, is he just gonna do this every night? Like, I saw him because I checked the injury report. I mean, you see him; he's on the thumbnail. Every time I go do the thumbnail, I'm like, all right, who's on the injury report? So I'm like, who's in, who's out? And especially at this time of the season,
you don't know.
And I was like, oh, Jayson Tatum's in, so obviously he's on the thumbnail. But I was thinking, when that process was happening, I was going, is he just gonna do it every like, when is he gonna stop? Like, there's 10 games left. Like, I always see on the schedule, you know, the last 2 Charlotte Hornets games, right? We played Charlotte. That's the schedule a little weird with Charlotte this year. We played them back to back, a Friday, a Saturday, early in November this season, and then now mid-April, late season, of course, playing back to back again. But those 2 games, I'm always looking at those games going, okay, well, Tatum, Brown, they're gonna rest one of those games, at least game 82, or play limited minutes in a game 82 scenario. But then before that, there's only 8 games before that little 2-game stint. I'm wondering, when is the moment in which we're going to see Tatum and Brown? I mean, Brown's been out the last however many games. Tatum, he was kind of missing games here or there, but I was really wondering the last couple games, where are we going to see these guys sit? I thought tonight, I didn't think we were going to see Brown tonight. I didn't think we were going to see Tatum tonight. I didn't think we were going to see anybody tonight, and surprisingly so, we saw everybody out there, really. I mean, it was mostly everybody out there on the court. I mean, I believe Al Horford.
Hauser and Horford. Yeah,
Hauser and Horford. But outside of the bench guys, Hauser and Horford, Everybody else played, and that was pretty surprising to me. But Jayson Tatum coming into tonight, that's what makes this injury so, like, should he have been resting tonight? I know it was such a freak accident. Like, I'm not, to me,
Exactly.
that's why it's
Right.
like I can't really put too much on Joe or any of the coaching staff or training
No.
staff or even Jayson Tatum, because it's a freak injury, and this could have happened last night. It could have happened any night. But I was wondering going into tonight, when is Jayson Tatum going to start to rest? It could have been tonight, could have been another night on this West Coast road trip, but we were going to see that regardless moving ahead. And now I just wonder if it's I'm hoping for Jayson Tatum. Obviously, for everybody in Celtics Nation is hoping this, but Jayson Tatum's injury, if it's a little lesser, this could actually play into the Celtics' hands over time, because Jayson Tatum, he might have already been resting some of these games moving forward. Now he might rest a little bit more. Now, I
Right.
will say that could affect the Celtics' rhythm just a bit, or I'm just saying this too, gives more minutes to some of the forward rotation right now on the back end to
Right.
see where they slot in come playoff time. That could be a positive for the Celtics, and guys getting more minutes, and Joe seeing what he has in some of these guys at the end, like Shireman, Craig, Jordan Walsh, come playoff time, even Hauser as well. But also Jayson Tatum, he might have a little bit more time to rest instead of just resting, every other game like he's been doing. Maybe now he gets a couple games in a row, and he still
Right.
does that every other game, say the last 5 games, and plays like 3 of the last 5. Say he does that, and then come playoff time, maybe he does feel 100% healthy and he's ready to go. My only worry and my concern is right now is maybe that ankle injury, maybe it's not severe, but come playoff time, is it just a little tender? Is it a little, constricting to the mobilization of Jayson Tatum in a couple ways? We're not going to know about that until he really comes back on court, but he was on such a roll, and to see that happen to him right now, it seriously was. I mean, it felt like the whole season stopped when he was on the floor
Right.
in that particular moment. I mean, that is really the story of this entire game, outside of all the play. There's a lot of play to get into, but when Jayson Tatum, when he was on the floor, I mean, that was the story of the night right there. That was it. Everything
Right.
else stopped. It was like afterwards, Kristaps made a 3, and it's like, all right, let's just whoop them. Let's get them out of here.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's
get
get getting
let's
it.
get
Get
out of
this
here.
over with. Yeah. Literally. So
That's what it felt like.
I think that post West Coast road trip, there shouldn't be a game where the Celtics are playing fully healthy anymore. So they have 3 more. They got Phoenix, Memphis, and San Antonio. San Antonio smack dab in the middle of them. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't give it to in order. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games left, 2 of which are on the road, 5 are at home. I think from there on out, it is just you're playing Scrabble. All right, tonight you 3 are sitting. The rest of the guys are going. Give Pritchard some rest, right? Give like Cornette, give him some, like, just start resting, start getting into playoff mode. Tonight was kind of shows you, yes, right. It, like you say, Seamus, freak accident. However, this is like
That can happen
minimize risk. How do you minimize risk? Minimize opportunity to get injured. How do you do that? You rest players on second nights of back-to-backs. And yeah, I'm not for it unless it's at this part of the year where it's winding down against some bottom of the NBA teams that we got coming up here. They're really, I mean, outside of Memphis in New York, these games are they're nothing games against nothing opponents. And I think Boston is in a situation now where they're playing well. It's clicking, right? And I know it's like, how much longer do you want to go? Probably 5 more games, right? Is realistic. They get it down to the last 5, the last week of the NBA is probably when they'll start doing it. However, I think tonight was scary enough to just kind of jumpstart that. So we'll have to see what Joe does moving forward, guys.